Leigh McGowan is lying about stolen valor and 4 newly commissioned Army Reservists. Now, a lot of people are going to watch this video. You might not recognize me. So, Leiah, hi. My name is Ryan Macbeth. I'm a software engineer and a cybersecurity guy. I specialize in cross-domain solutions and C4ISR. I find bad guys for my client, and then my client, well, you get the idea. So I know a little bit about tech and warfare and the Army. I'm also the author of 2 novels, The Wind Machine, which is about an AI-powered war with China, and The Last Republic, which is about a Mormon country called Deseret that was founded instead of the state of Utah. It's kind of an alternate history novel. You can find them both on Amazon or Audible if you're a Marine. Now, the first thing I have to say is that I have a Google Drive literally called Disinformation, and it has such disinformation luminaries in it, such as End Wokeness, Laura Loomer, Johnny Harris, recently TikTok lawyer Eliza Orlins. She added herself to this wall of shame after she put out misinformation on the Pentagon's 1033 program. And I say this because you don't want to be in this directory. And now, Leigh McGowan is in this directory. Left, right, or center, if you use Russian-style tactics to spread misinformation, I will find you, and you will have a suboptimal experience when I'm done with you. It's just easier to tell the truth. Now, Leigh McGowan is a left-wing political commentator. She wrote a book called A Return to Common Sense. She has this kind of shtick where she talks with her hands in the kitchen. That part is okay. Look, I smoke a cigar in my bathrobe. That's my shtick. We all have a gimmick. But part of my gimmick is that I tell the truth, and I give accurate intelligence assessments, and I correct myself when I'm wrong. So we shall see how honest Leigh McGowan is after this video comes out. Now, she had a recent video where she mentioned how 4 Silicon Valley tech executives were recently commissioned as lieutenant colonels in the Army Reserve. I'm going to show you some of the video. This is her work, but this is all fair use for critique.
I genuinely cannot believe I'm saying this and that it is not a top-of-the-page headline story across the country, but the U.S. Army just swore in 4 tech executives as lieutenant colonels.
So really, this was Army Reserve. This sounds like a nitpick, but the difference is that the Army Reserve serves part-time, although it falls under the umbrella of the U.S. Army. But that's kind of the first clue that Leigh McGowan either doesn't know anything about the military, or she does know and chose to ignore it, or she didn't bother to do any research. All of those possibilities are bad. And there's also the biggest lie right here. This is stolen valor. Now, these guys signing up for the military is not stealing any valor. This is clickbait. Stolen valor is when you claim something that you are not, or you embellish something beyond more than normal embellishment. In my case, I served in both an Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Enduring Freedom mainly covered Afghanistan, but there were some other missions. And while I went to Iraq, I was physically on the ground in Iraq for Operation Iraqi Freedom. During Operation Enduring Freedom, I never once set foot in Afghanistan. So if I said, well, I served in Afghanistan, I got a Bronze Star for Valor in combat, and I went around on podcasts and I talked about how I was an airborne Ranger space shuttle door gunner in Afghanistan, that would be stolen valor. I swear to God, I'm the only infantryman who ever sat in a Humvee and smoked cigarettes for 20 years. But no, a bunch of reservists isn't stolen valor. These reservists were appointed with a direct commission to the Army Reserves. So what she said here for stolen valor is a lie and a fabrication. Let's keep going.
These 4 men are all now 1 rank away from a general, second in command for field grade officers. There are 16 ranks lower than a lieutenant colonel, and these 4 untrained civilians just leapfrogged over soldiers who have dedicated their entire career and lives to the U.S. military.
This is the second lie, which is a lie of omission. These 4 reservists will command no troops. They were selected for Detachment 201 of the Army's Innovation Corps. The idea behind Detachment 201 is to help guide rapid and scalable tech solutions to complex problems. It's literally on the Army's website. Back during World War II, the major factor in winning wars was production. How much steel, how many planes, how many ships. But today it's tech. It's drones, it's computer chips, it's AI. If the adversary's AI is better than our AI, we're going to be in a lot of freaking trouble. And we're not going to get there with a bunch of officers who have a degree in zoology. And while you stand there in your kitchen and complain that these 4 tech executives just jumped over the rest of us on their way to lieutenant colonel, there are people out there trying to solve AI problems and software problems, and they need the help from these people. I want you to find me a lieutenant colonel with a computer science degree. There might be some on the Air Force side in the Kessel Run project up in Boston, which I actually worked on, but for the most part, if you get a computer science degree in the Army like I did, you do the same thing I did, and that's get out. You get out. You take that security clearance to a job contracting, and then you make a boatload of money, like I did, until I started a YouTube channel and no longer make any money. But let's keep going here.
Apparently, these men are going to work on targeted projects to help guide rapid and scalable tech solutions to complex problems. A sentence that means absolutely nothing.
So I already explained what that sentence means. It means that the U.S. Army does not have the internal talent to understand these subjects. Now, what we did every single time we needed to find talent is we gave them direct commissions. A good example of this is the Monuments Men. There's like a movie about them. They were essentially art historians that were tasked by the U.S. Army to preserve European art stolen by the Nazis. Not a lot of art historians serve in the Army, so what do? Poof, poof, poof. You're directly commissioned into the Army. Now you're a captain, whatever. Go find this stolen art. If memory serves me correctly, there are about 200 or so Monuments Men, and I believe some of those officers were direct commission. Also during World War II, William S. Knudsen, he was a General Motors executive, and poof, he was turned into a lieutenant general and appointed to the Office of Production Management. Essentially, this was to use his knowledge of manufacturing to enable the greatest transition to wartime production in history. You know, this is back when you had Ford making tanks. You had Singer, the sewing machine company, making pistols. And this goes all the way back to the Civil War. I believe many of the battalion surgeons were direct appointees. There just weren't enough surgeons serving in the Army, so you're a surgeon, poof. All right, now you're a surgeon in the Army. In my career, I've only known one guy with a direct appointment, and he was like a signal guy who had like some specialized training the Army needed. Let's keep going.
Because clearly this is just a way of giving these companies access to top secret information without them having to go through any pesky background checks.
So right there, Leigh McGowan has absolutely zero idea of how the military works. In order to become a military officer, you need to fill out something called an SF-86, which is a background check form for a secret security clearance. So these particular individuals either possessed at least a secret clearance background check before they received their commissions, which is possible because 2 of the executives work for Palantir, which does some Army contracts. But you can't be commissioned as an officer without at least a secret clearance. You wouldn't even be allowed in the room with secret information unless you had a secret clearance. That would be a major data spillage. So after this, Leigh McGowan kind of gets into this QAnon conspiracy thing. I'll play a little bit of that.
Because we already know that Palantir is building a massive centralized database, using much of the information they acquired from Doge, Elon Musk's foray into the American government. These billionaire tech bros are compiling lists of our most sensitive information, our tax records, medical data, bank accounts, social security information, immigration status. This administration is allowing them to build the infrastructure for techno-feudalism, authoritarianism in the form of data and surveillance.
So those are words you can say in English. This whole techno-feudalism thing was kind of ripped off from Daniel Suarez's book Demon, which is about a gaming tech executive who has a computer program that establishes a new world order. Like any conspiracy, QAnon, moon landings are fake, microchips and vaccines, this kind of falls apart when you look at it. I mean, New York just elected a freaking communist to run for the Democratic mayor position. All the finance tech bros in New York couldn't stop it, right? So if you believe in that whole techno-feudalism theory, you might want to close that loop.
There should not be this much overlap between private tech and the U.S. government. Certainly not between private tech and the U.S. military.
Well, as the dude said...
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
The truth is that most Army officers, they do not have the aptitude, they do not have the background to understand software programming. Software programming is hard. That's why I do it. There may be a few people in the Signal Corps who are doing like cybersecurity stuff, but usually they leave for the civilian world. It's just, there's just so much more money available. It actually probably wouldn't be a bad idea for the U.S. Army to hire officers who can do software development and then pay them an extra stipend, kind of like the way we pay doctors extra money when they serve in the Army, just to do computer science and computer programming so they don't leave for the private sector. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But, in all honesty, the only way we can help rapidly develop our cyber and AI capabilities would be through direct commissions. It's the only way we could do it. And honestly, it's no different than developing our industry during World War II.
I do not know how asleep at the wheel Congress can possibly be, but they should be shutting this down immediately.
Do that? Cool. And you put us at a disadvantage when we fight China in 2027, 2028, because that war is coming.
And I can only hope our veterans and active duty military are paying incredibly close attention.
I am, Leiah. It's not the kind of attention you want. One of the problems you get when you decide to go that partisan political angle is that you kind of paint yourself into a corner and you can never admit that, yeah, maybe the opposite side did something right. A lot of YouTubers fall into this drinking the partisan Kool-Aid thing because it's so invigorating, because all of a sudden everybody agrees with you and they think you're amazing and you make lots and lots of money. I wish I could be like Tim Pool and sell out to Russia and make $100,000 a video. I'd be on a boat making P. Diddy look like he was Amish. But no, I gotta be accurate, I gotta be an intelligence analyst, and I gotta serve my country. Why did so many conservatives, when Joe Biden was president, oppose funding Ukraine? Why? Because President Biden was for it. Well, if he's for it, we gotta be against it. We can't let him score points. When you run around worried about dunking on the libs or owning MAGA, you're the freaking problem. You. Because you aren't thinking about your country. You're thinking about clicks. You're thinking about yourself. And when it comes to defending this country, our differences need to stop at the water's edge. The Trump administration has made some boneheaded choices, but this isn't one of them. If you want to watch Leigh McGowan's full video, you can do so. I have a link below if you're on YouTube or Substack. But if you use the tactics of Russia to lie and mislead the American people, I don't care about your political party, I will find you and you will end up in that directory and you will have a suboptimal outcome. Again, Wind Machine, Last Republic, available on Amazon or Audible if you're a Marine. Thank you guys so much for watching. Wow, this girl from Watertown sure is cool.
Hey kid, what's going on?
Think tank!
A girl from Watertown is kind of like riding a moped. It's lots of fun till your friends see you on one. What's really cool is a t-shirt or hoodie from Bunker Branding.
Wow! Intel Life! Control-C, Control-V! That's exactly what we do!
And Bunker Branding has all sorts of cool gear. Intel Life, Air Assault, Live, Laugh, Launch for Destroyer, Trident, HIMARS, and Patriot. Think outside the bomb. Drone Suite Drone, Department of the Boat People, landmines, and even the tow missile. It would behoove you to grab one today. Girls from Watertown aren't cool, so wear your Bunker Branding gear.
Now I know.
And knowing's half the battle. Hey babe, you wanna dance?
Bunker!